Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard Keepers. I am your host, the Ref, and you already know we'll be right back at 30 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the Scoreboard Keepers. You're around here, we don't keep receipts, we keep the score. So if you want to get on the board, make your point. If it makes sense, we'll add it to the board. If it don't, we won't. Scoreboard Keepers.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard Keepers. I'm your host, the Ref, where I keep you scoring everything sports, hip hop, and hot topics. Hot topic today: while the 2026 NFL offseason will feature plenty of player movement via free agency and the draft, one of the most important storylines will involve one player who is highly unlikely to change teams in the foreseeable future. The Kansas City Chiefs didn't miss the playoffs last year because quarterback Patrick Mahomes suffered a torn ACL, but his recovery will be critical to their chances of returning to the Super Bowl contention next season. Even if he retired today, the Texas Tech product will go down as one of the best signal callers ever to take an NFL field. In this one Bleacher Report that we're going to be talking about today, the recent stats poll determined the top 99 quarterbacks in NFL history, and Patrick Mahomes came in number 4. Now, I'm going to tell you we have a discrepancy with that, and I'm not going to tell you which way, but you guys can get down in the comments, like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and you guys can have some pushback on what we're going to say over here, okay? One way or the other. An argument could be made that Patrick Mahomes should be ranked even higher than 4, which is what the Bleacher Report has him at. However, he shouldn't be considered an all-time top 3 quarterback just yet, although that shouldn't be considered a knock against his already impressive legacy. I agree. Mahomes is already a first ballot Hall of Famer. I agree. While Mahomes is busy attacking his rehab right now, and the Chiefs are taking a break from their run in the AFC dominance, I don't know if they're taking a break. I think somebody stepped in. Okay, I think the torch might have been passed a little bit. I'm not saying the torch was passed. I'm just saying somebody stepped in and kind of like pushed back and put up a little fight. Now is a great time to appreciate just how special his career has been to this point. The 30-year-old is already a veritable lock for the Hall of Fame. Prior to 2025, Kansas City appeared in 7 consecutive AFC Championship games with him at the helm. Those 7 trips resulted in 5 Super Bowl appearances and 3 Super Bowl victories. That's impressive. For quarterbacks, 2 Lombardi trophies are usually enough to earn a trip to Canton. Of the 13 Hall-eligible quarterbacks who have won 2 or more Super Bowls as a starter, only Jim Plunkett and Eli Manning are not in the Hall of Fame. Manning, who has been a finalist in each of the past 2 years, will probably get in. Plunkett, who was ranked 68th on the Bleacher Report's all-time quarterback list, had a terrific career but was never a Pro Bowler or widely considered an elite quarterback. That leads into the second facet of Mahomes' Hall of Fame resume. He has the statistics and individual accolades needed to earn a bust. Mahomes is a 6-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time first-team All-Pro, and a 2-time regular season MVP. He's a 3-time Super Bowl MVP who has led the NFL in touchdown passes twice and led the league in passing yards once. With 35,939 passing yards, Mahomes is already 33rd on the all-time passing list. His 267 passing touchdowns are 22nd on the all-time list. And Mahomes has also added 2,665 passing yards and 19 rushing touchdowns. Mahomes' numbers have been even more prolific in the postseason. With 5,814 yards, he ranks 6th on the all-time postseason passing list. It isn't all about the numbers with Mahomes either. With an almost unmatched blend of athleticism, arm talent, escapability, and football IQ, the Chiefs star has regularly made the incredible seem routine. I've seen some of that. So I'm not going to disagree. But still, one way or the other, we're going to have our opinion over here on the Scoreboard Keepers, and you guys can get down in the comments. And if you agree, you agree. If not, put it down there and let's go to battle. We become so accustomed to seeing Mahomes make special plays that his ability to perform at a consistently high level might be unappreciated. I can't disagree. While Mahomes might not be the NFL's best quarterback each and every year, it's hard to argue that he hasn't been the game's best across his 8 years and full-time as a full-time starter. I agree. For NFL players with shorter careers, a significant span of dominance often carries more weight in the Hall of Fame argument than raw numbers alone. You're not going to get any pushback from me on that. I agree once again. So we seem to have like minds over here. They say great minds think alike. Hey, it is what it is. For example, former Detroit Lions receiver Calvin Johnson, Megatron, ranks 37th on the all-time receiving list. Really? I didn't know that. Really? Yet he was so productive during his 9 NFL seasons that he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. Yeah. Yeah. Because he played on a bad Detroit Lions team. I can't even imagine him with somebody. It would be unfair if he would have been on a contender at that time. During his time, I seen him play. So if he would have been on a contender, it would have been unfair. So I get those numbers right there are deceiving. Throughout history, 30, 40 years from now, people will never understand just how deceiving that 37th is for somebody like Calvin Johnson. I'll tell you that right now. Because Calvin Johnson is probably a top 5 wide receiver in the history of football. I'm talking about leather helmets, no face mask. I said the history of football. The history. I'm saying if we're sending 5 to the outer limits to play a football game, he's going. Yep. Former Carolina Panthers star Luke Kuechly played only 8 NFL seasons. However, he was widely considered the NFL's best linebacker during his playing career and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2026 as a result. I like Luke. I like Luke a lot. But first ballot, I don't like him that much. He was great for that short span. It was like a lightning in a bottle. But first ballot, like in order for at that position, we would have to be saying his name in the same sentence as Lawrence Taylor to do that from that position. Because he was a good player, but when you compare Luke Kuechly to what Calvin Johnson was doing, Calvin Johnson I want to say, if you're going to give Luke Kuechly that accolade, we should be saying Luke Kuechly is one of the greatest top 5 linebackers of all time. And I'm definitely don't know if I can say that. With 3 rings, a trophy, case full of awards, some prolific passing numbers, especially in the postseason, and a multi-year stretch as the face of the NFL, Mahomes will be a lock for Canton, even if he were to never play another game. I agree. You're not going to get any pushback from me on that. Mahomes needs to play longer to crack the top 3. Really? He needs to play longer to crack the top 3? Okay. When debating who the best quarterbacks of all time are, arguments often boil down to talent versus accomplishments, with statistics often landing on one side or the other. Longtime Green Bay Packers star Aaron Rodgers was considered the game's most talented quarterback for much of his career. Like Mahomes, he had a combination of physical skills and intangibles that was rarely matched during his playing prime. I can't disagree with that. But they also had another quarterback down there by the name of Brett Favre, who was doing the same exact thing. So, yeah. Rodgers, who spent the 2025 season with the Pittsburgh Steelers, has also had a lengthy career filled with individual accomplishments and gaudy numbers. The 4-time MVP ranks 5th on the all-time passing list with 66,274 yards, and 3rd on all-time postseason passing list with 6,040 yards. Whew. That's some hell of a numbers right there, boy. Yet Rodgers has just won Super Bowl. Which is why now, I mean, damn, I thought he had 2, but they say he only has 1. They said Rodgers has just 1 Super Bowl ring, but I think he did lose that game. I believe he did lose. I remember it. Which is why Mahomes ranks ahead of him, despite being a similarly talented quarterback with far fewer seasons on his resume. Of course, anyone who wants to put Rodgers ahead of Mahomes can point the former's longevity and overall body of work. You damn right. We can't ignore that. Why would we want to ignore that? That's a part of it. That's why I said what I said about Luke Kuechly. You know, like, I mean, come on now. Results matter. Though, and winning Super Bowls is ultimately the desired result. Tom Brady, who unsurprisingly topped the Bleacher Report list, won 7 of them. Brady also happens to hold the most of the NFL's meaningful all-time quarterback records, including passing yards, passing touchdowns, wins, and postseason passing numbers. Brady, who won Super Bowls with both the New England Patriots and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is in a class of his own despite never being considered the NFL's most talented quarterback. You damn right. And we disagree. Now, finally, we disagree on something. We don't think he's in a class by himself. Okay? Not over here. Longtime San Francisco 49ers star Joe Montana isn't far behind. See, I knew that was coming. Because they just want to go with the teams that was putting up these dynasties. At that time, it was the 49ers, it was the Steelers, 49ers, Cowboys, and then Patriots. Those dynasty quarterbacks. No, we're not having that over here. During his prime, Montana was widely considered the best quarterback in the NFL. He also won 4 Super Bowls that he started. Of course, he also had Dwight Clark, Jerry Rice, and John Taylor, and Roger Craig. Hey, I'm just saying. The 2-time MVP and 3-time Super Bowl MVP ranked second on the Bleacher Report list. Well, surprise. We're not surprised that you would say that. We're not surprised at all. It's crazy because you haven't mentioned any of my guys yet. Brady, Montana, and Terry Bradshaw are the only quarterbacks with more Super Bowl wins as a starter than Mahomes. So why haven't you mentioned Terry Bradshaw? Here we go. Bradshaw, who came in at number 15, what? On the Bleacher Report list, played in a very different era and with the Pittsburgh Steelers dynasty that very largely won with its defense. Oh, this is so irresponsible. This is an irresponsible report, ladies and gentlemen. So Mahomes may never match Brady's accomplishments, and he may have to win another Super Bowl to surpass Montana in the all-time quarterback hierarchy. However, he does have a case for being ranked higher than Peyton Manning, who came in at number 3 on the Bleacher Report all-time list. So you already have deemed that Patrick Mahomes can't accomplish what Tom Brady has. You've already put this man below Tom Brady. After all, Manning only has 3 Super Bowl appearances and 2 rings on his resume. He was viewed by many as being along for the ride with an elite Denver Broncos defense when he won his 2nd ring after the 2015 season. What? We can arguably say that if it wasn't for the poor call in Seattle, instead of turning around and giving the ball off to Marshawn Lynch, Tom Brady wouldn't have one of those Super Bowls. We can arguably say that if it wasn't for listen, it's a few things that we could talk about, okay? We all remember Deflategate. Like, I mean, come on now. We also remember the game that was a horrible call in Pittsburgh where the tight end scored a touchdown to knock the Tom Brady and him out of the playoffs, where I know 2 Super Bowls that the Patriots wouldn't have won if the refs made the right call. Because if you look back in that Pittsburgh game, there was a pass over the middle to the tight end where he crossed the goal line with the ball, and the ref said he didn't score, which would have ended the game, and that would have knocked Tom Brady out of two of his Super Bowls. Oh yeah. Yet Manning's longevity, accolades, and lengthy status as the game's best quarterback put him above Mahomes for now. Wow. So now Peyton Manning has to look over his shoulder. The longtime Indianapolis Colts starter was never an athletic marvel. So, yeah, but he had an arm talent and accuracy an NFL team could want. Yes, he did. He had a lot of other things too. He could read defenses. And there might not be a quarterback in the history of the league who matched Manning's ability to diagnose a defense. I'm glad you said it before I said it. And create mismatches and win downs before the ball was even snapped. Well, that's called quarterbacking. That's called quarterbacking and not working within the system. You're being a quarterback. Manning's football intelligence, recognition skills, and leadership allowed him to be the ultimate on-field leader. You damn right. He wanted to figure out what the defense was going to do before they did it. Former Colts receiver Reggie Wayne said, per Zach Kiefer of the Indianapolis Star, the way he prepared kind of got the rest of us to kind of pick up our game as far as preparation. That's a quarterback. That's a leader. During most of Manning's career, debates raged about whether he or Brady was the top signal caller in the NFL. After 17 seasons as a starter, Manning ranked 3rd on the all-time passing list with 71,940 yards and 2nd on the all-time postseason passing list with 7,339. And mind you, he didn't have some of the arsenals that a lot of other people had, okay? A lot of people always knew that he would be throwing to Reggie Wayne. Marvin Harrison Jr., okay? A lot of people knew where he was going with the ball and still couldn't stop it. While Mahomes has the edge in rings, Manning, the league's only 5-time MVP, had a stretch of the greatest that will take years to match. I agree. They're doing Peyton Manning dirty right now, by the way. But Mahomes may be just getting started. Whether you believe Mahomes is being underrated or overrated, at this point in his career, one thing is largely undeniable. His career isn't over. He'll only turn 31 in September, and he's under contract through 2031. He's going to sign another big deal if he win another Super Bowl. Even if he doesn't get back to the Super Bowl and choose to retire, when his current deal ends, he can gain a lot of ground on the all-time statistical list. He had 3,587 passing yards this past season. 6 more seasons of that clip would put him at 57,461 for his career, moving him past Eli Manning for 11th on the all-time list. There's no guarantee that Mahomes won't have better seasons ahead. He's averaged more than 4,800 yards per 17 games in his career, or that he won't keep playing after his contract expires. There's also no guarantee that he and the Chiefs won't find themselves playing for another championship. Damn right. Here's where we point out Brady's once went 9 seasons between Super Bowl victories. What? Here's where we point out that Brady once went 9 seasons between Super Bowl victories. The current Kansas City dynasty may be nearing its end. However, that doesn't mean the Chiefs won't construct another one in the future, or Mahomes won't go on to win with a different team in his late 30s. Hey, I can't disagree with that. Brady and Manning are currently the only quarterbacks who have started and won Super Bowls with 2 different franchises. So why is Peyton Manning not ranked higher? Will Mahomes ever be considered the greatest quarterback of all time? Maybe not. You guys already said he won't. But he's already approaching Mount Rushmore status, and he's only going to add to his Hall of Fame legacy in 2026 and beyond. So guys, y'all all know that we got a problem here, Houston. We got a problem here. When they say who's the greatest quarterback of all time, I'm going to judge you by being a quarterback. Now, I can't judge or take away any accolades from you being a quarterback just because you didn't have a good 11 players on defense. I can only judge you because offense alone does not win games. Defense wins championships, and we all know that. Just like they didn't even mention Tom Brady's defenses that he played with during that year. Not to mention that Bill Belichick is a defensive coach. Bill Belichick coached Lawrence Taylor. So I'm not going to sit here and act like, okay, that Tom Brady's defenses didn't play a role. Go back and look at those Super Bowl teams and look at who was on the defensive line. Go look at see who their linebackers were. Go look at their safety. That team had great defenses. They put him in a lot of comfortable positions. Not saying that he didn't have the pieces to do what he needed to do. We all know one year he had Randy Moss. We all know that. He had good running backs as well. You know, playing in New England, you don't have to be a great passer up there. You got to be able to run the ball, play good defense, and manage the game. You got to consistently be able to manage the game. He did that very well. He kept the sticks moving. But we know damn well we didn't see Tom Brady throwing 50-yard bombs, not unless it was Randy Moss. It was dink and dunk. It was dink and dunk. Timing. He was great putting the ball where it was supposed to be on time. But we're talking about being a quarterback. And I think it's irresponsible. I don't think it's fair that they put Peyton Manning down so far. I think Peyton Manning should be up further than that. Peyton Manning was a great quarterback. Okay? Peyton Manning was a great quarterback. I'm actually taking Peyton Manning before Tom Brady. But when I judge and I rank my quarterbacks, I'm ranking my quarterbacks based on what would they do if they was in the same situation as who they consider to be the best, which is Tom Brady. What would these quarterbacks do if they were in that situation? How would they fare with their talents? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with I'm going to give you my top three. Okay? I'm going to give you my top three, and I'm going to start off with one that you're not even going to see this coming. You're not even going to see this coming. Here's my number three of my top three. If I wanted quarterbacks on my team and I had to win one game, I need these three quarterbacks. Okay, I need these three quarterbacks. Now I already told you that I put Peyton Manning in front of Tom Brady as a better quarterback. As a better quarterback, I'm taking Peyton Manning over Tom Brady. So if I'm doing that, you already know that that Tom Brady's not on this top three list. Let's go. Oh, you didn't see that one coming, did you? Oh, no, you didn't see that one coming. No, you didn't see that one coming. If I had one game to play, I need to win one game and I want to put up some points, and I need a quarterback, and he was in he had the same players as Tom Brady, and I needed to put up some points, and he could throw to Randy Moss, and he could throw to Gronk, and he could throw listen, you name it, right? Antonio Brown at one point. Can you imagine Antonio Brown and Randy Moss playing with Warren Moon, who threw for 50,000 yards in a no-fly zone defense? Listen, Tom Brady threw I'm going to tell you why I take Peyton Manning over Tom Brady. Tom Brady threw in the 7-on-7 league. Okay? You can't tackle the quarterback. Okay? And there's no safeties in the middle of the field anymore that can control what's coming down the field. Warren Moon threw 50,000 yards in an era where you was going to get your head taken off if you went across that middle. He kept his wide receivers, Ernest Givens. He kept all of them boys safe. Haywood Jeffries, don't get me started. Haywood Jeffries was a beast. But Warren Moon does not get the credit that he deserves. But he's going to get it over here on the Scoreboard Keepers today. If Warren Moon was to throw in a 7-on-7 league today, he might have 90,000 passing yards. He may have 90,000 passing yards if he threw today. Are you kidding me? With no safety in him in the field? And guess what else Warren Moon could do? Run. Just imagine a better passing quarterback than Lamar Jackson. Just imagine Lamar Jackson being a better overall quarterback. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine it? Warren Moon was better than Josh Allen. I can only compare Josh Allen to Warren Moon. Warren Moon could run if he wanted to, but guess what? He didn't have to. He stood back in the pocket and dialed in and threw a dart. Warren Moon would throw darts. That Houston Oilers offense would put up crazy numbers. Do you know how everybody was running out here and everybody runs out here to get the Madden football and all of that? Well, when Warren Moon was playing, everybody wanted that Houston Oilers offense because it would get crazy. It would get crazy. Ernest Givens and Hayward Jeffries, oh man, you're throwing downfield. And then he could take off and use his legs if he had to, if he needed to. This was back when quarterbacks, especially black quarterbacks, had to prove that they belong. So he knew he could run, but he chose to pass. And guess what? Warren Moon also played in the Canadian League. See, listen, don't sleep on Warren Moon, okay? Warren Moon is an absolute beast when it comes to tossing that rock. And if I was to put him right next to Tom Brady with the same talent, I know that I'm going to get better numbers. It ain't even a question. I know I'm going to get, especially downfield. What? That's what he specialized in. Especially downfield, somewhere Tom Brady very rarely went until he got Randy Moss. Everything was dink and dunk, and that's why Gronk, dink and dunk, Gronk. That's what it was. And the defenses back then was defense. The defense back there was lethal. Now, so y'all come with it. Leave it down in the comments. Tell me I'm lying, because I know I'm not. Steve Atwater would take your head off. What? Ronnie Lott would take your head off. Had receivers scared to come across the middle. It was only so many routes you could even throw because they wasn't going in there without getting down. Stop. That's my number 3, Warren Moon. If I need to win a game and I need offense, Warren Moon. Number 2. That's one down for me. Let me put my points on the board. That's one for me. Warren Moon's in the books. My number 2. Come on. Do I need to say anything? Do I need to say anything about the quickest release in probably NFL history? The rifleman? Dan Marino? Dan Marino. Do I need to say anything? I mean, come on. Come on. Dan Marino's release was crazy. He could release a ball on the money with high velocity going backwards. Of course, he had the super marks down there, Mark Duper, Mark Clayton. But coming out of Pennsylvania, coming out of University of Pitt, into Miami, all you got to do is go look at his numbers. I'm going to tell you something right now. Tom Brady wore 12, he wore 13. Okay? Tom Brady wore 12, he wore 13. If I need to win one game and I had him and he could throw to the same people that Tom Brady was throwing to in this 7-on-7 league, I told you Warren Moon might have 90,000 yards. He may have 80, 85. He may have it. And guess what? He had the same mentality that Tom Brady had. If you didn't run the right route, he was going to jump in your shit. Oh yeah. He get in your ass in the huddle. Oh yeah. You wasn't going to be doing the wrong thing out there and not come back to the huddle and not hear it. If you want to talk about somebody that could throw a pretty spiral, man, just like Warren Moon, this is why Warren Moon and him are my number 3 and number 2, because they threw balls down the field on the money. And they both was tough as nails. They both survived the era when you could hit a quarterback. Warren Moon and Dan Marino passing skills was some of the best I've ever seen. As far as being on the money, moving the ball down the field, knowing what the defense is doing, calling the game. Guess what? Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. For them to not mention him in that report is irresponsible. Dan Marino is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of football. And it ain't about, you got to understand, he didn't play in this 7-on-7 league now where they play flag football in the Pro Bowl. What are you talking about? They play flag football in the Pro Bowl. Flag on the play. They play flag football. That's a point for me. They play flag football in the Pro Bowl. Unbelievable. Dan Marino didn't play in that league. Dan Marino played in a league where it was nasty. It was nasty. And he got the job done. His arm and Warren Moon's arm, unbelievable. You can best believe that ball was going to be where it was supposed to be. And he was going to get it there. Yeah, Dan Marino, number 2. 2 points for me, 0 points for that report. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I know you've been waiting for my number 1. I'm going to tell you right now, if I got one game to win, one game, it's I don't care if it's in bad weather. I don't care if it's in the summertime. I don't care if it's in fall, autumn, spring. I don't care. If we're getting on a plane and we're going to Mars, okay? We got one game against the Martians, okay? We got one game against the Martians, all right? It's for a game bigger than the Super Bowl, bigger than the national championship. And I got to take one quarterback. Now, I got to take one quarterback. Damn it. And I know that at the end of the game, it may be close. You know what I mean? Depending on how my defense is playing, don't matter, because I know this quarterback could put up points too. And damn it, if it come down to the last minute or two of the game and we got the damn ball and we need somebody to manage the game and to manage the clock and to get us back to earth with a victory. Damn it, John Elway. Damn it, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell y'all right now. It ain't always about no damn Super Bowls. Talking about these best quarterbacks, we need to rewrite the standards. We're talking about two different eras of football. John Elway in this era may be unstoppable. John, you didn't hear me. John Elway in this era may be unstoppable, and I'm gonna tell you why. Unlike, I'm gonna tell you what separates him from the prior two. John Elway had the arm, right? Let's just start with his head, okay? John Elway had the head of Peyton Manning because he could read defenses. He has the arm of Dan Marino and Warren Moon, and he has the legs of Josh Allen. And he has the toughness of a damn linebacker. Look at him. Look. Thigh pads, shoulder pads, everything, right? He played in Mile High Stadium, okay, where most people go up there and can't breathe, right? He's the best 2-minute drill quarterback in the history of football. If that wasn't open, he could run. He ran his timing and his throws. He could throw out patterns, he could throw in patterns, he could throw downfield, or he could take off. If I had to trust one person with all of those attributes, and I needed somebody with all of those characteristics, it is John Elway. And trust me, I seen him play. I seen Tom Brady play. I seen Warren Moon play. I seen Dan Marino play. I'm telling you, it's not the same. They're not going to say it because they're all in the same profession. So you got to hear it from somebody that's seen it from the outside looking in. I'm telling you that John Elway was an absolute monster on more than one occasion in 2-minute drills. And I'm talking about not 2-minute drills like the 2-minute drills that you saw Tom Brady in, where it could be a penalty for, coming down on the quarterback wrong. I'm talking about running for your life from men with bad intentions. With bad intentions. It wasn't no going out there without your thigh pads on. You needed that. There wasn't no, he hit the quarterback in the head, or he came down on the quarterback wrong, or he tackled the quarterback below the legs. It wasn't none of that. It was, I'll meet you at the quarterback. That's what the defensive line was saying. I'll meet you at the quarterback. And this guy could deliver a ball, run the ball, read a defense, and destroy you. It was only right that he won a Super Bowl, because he didn't have the best team surrounded around him at that time. San Francisco 49ers did. Green Bay Packers was on the rise. But as far as quarterbacking, as far as being back there and having it all, man, let me tell you something. If John Elway had Cheetah, Xavier Worthy, shit, we're talking about these quarterbacks that had Tom Brady and I'm not putting Peyton Manning in there. I'm just gonna say Tom Brady had and Patrick Mahomes both have probably the best tight ends in the history of the game, and one through to one of the top 10 wide receivers in the history of football, which is Randy Moss. You can't name John Elway's receivers. You can't name them. You may know one or two here and there. Yeah, you may know one or two here or there for the average fan, but you got to be a football person to know who he was throwing to at that point in time. But John Elway wasn't throwing to no top 5 receivers of all time at any position. And it wasn't no 7-on-7 league, ladies and gentlemen. If we go into Mars and we playing the Mars Martians, and I got to take one with me that I know that I can trust, that's going to get the job done in any situation, if he have to run, gun, or stun, is John Elway, no pun. Period. Point blank. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude this episode of the Scoreboard Keepers. That's my 1, 2, 3. John Elway, Dan Marino, Warren Moon. If you guys got any discrepancy with what I said, get in the comment sections and leave it down below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thumb up the video. Until the next episode of the Scoreboard Keepers, I am your host, the Ref. John Elway is the quarterback that I'm taking with me when we packing up to go to Mars to play the Martians. All right? Till the next episode of the Scoreboard Keepers, God bless. Score. Peace.